how insane is it? Of all the white artists, Buddy Holly was the first one to play the Apollo.
Oh, wow.
Like Elvis would make some sense.
Yeah, he's got some swing to him. He's got that sex appeal, baby.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly, you want to beat him up. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my very nice, very sweet, very handsome co-host, Alexander Volt. Say hello.
That's very sweet of you.
Oh, boy. This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a whole new discography per episode. And today, we'll be discussing every album by...
Check my note. Buddy Holly. Yeah, Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly. We're doing a nice little fun one today.
Yeah.
Because our boy Tom Osman, a history guy, go check him out. He thought, it's been a while since you guys done a ridiculous, poppy, neat little ridiculous. I mean, I'm being so degrading to this legend, quote unquote. Even saying quote unquote was degrading to the legend.
Yes, it was.
But it is like a thing that, we don't cover this shit, and I typically hate rock and roll.
You know what? I like a curveball.
Yeah.
Once in a while.
It's a curveball. And Buddy Holly is one that I haven't thought about in so long. We've all heard the most famous. I mean, he's one of the most famous musicians in existence. Mm-hmm. One of the most influential musicians in existence. Mm-hmm. And what do you think about his music?
I've never have felt more neutral or whatever about an artist. Like the way you felt about Clips is how I feel about.
I genuinely disliked Clips.
Oh, you dislike?
Sorry. I was lukewarm on the stuff that I liked. I hated everything else.
I am just so lukewarm, and I'll get into the details.
Sure, he was insanely influential. I don't enjoy his music very much. I mean, some of it's fine, but it's you know what it is.
I really just. One, I didn't realize how young he was when he passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And two, I think it just kind of scarred a whole generation, and that kind of kept his memory alive. But this is probably the oldest music we've covered at this point in the pod.
Oh, yes. I would say, yeah, it's got to be.
But yeah, comparing him to his peers or things of the time, I don't mind some Chuck Berry or Little Richard. They have this wild, unhinged quality to them that
right.
I feel like you put them in almost any era of music, they would find a way to fit in. Even Screaming Jay.
Screaming Jay?
Screaming Jay Hawkins. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I put a spell on you, all that.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, all those people that you named were insane musicians.
Yes.
First and foremost, they were talented. Mm-hmm. Sorry, but Buddy Holly was fucking bang average the entire, he was just, Tom sent me, he has some notes here for us, but he's reading this book on the birth of pop. Essentially, it's called Pop from the Beginning by Nick Cohn. And this guy is breaking down of all of Buddy Holly's, his career and then his influence. It's very dismissive. Mm-hmm. It's not blatantly saying he stunk, but it's it's still debated whether or not he was actually good or not. And some of the quotes are fucking hilarious. My favorite here is this one. He says, Holly's breakthrough, in fact, was that he opened up alternatives to all-out hysteria. Not many white kids had the lungs or sheer hunger to copy Little Richard, but Holly was easy. All you needed was tonsils.
There we go.
The beat was lukewarm, the range minimal, no acrobatics on stage or effort required. You just stood up straight and mumbled. In this way, Buddy Holly was the patron saint of all the thousands of no-talent kids who ever tried to make $1 million. He was founder of a noble tradition.
Holy shit.
Is that not exactly kind of what it feels like, though, listening to it now?
I mean, it does feel like that. But then, yeah, also I'm just man, it's not fair, the way the world put him up on this thing, because again, he's only 20,
very, very young. But he had a hunger, man. This dude was determined. He opened for Elvis, and then from then on, he was I am making my own songs. I am playing rock and roll. I'm fucking doing this.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that that is a very brutal but apropos
Yeah, because
description of his music. I feel like
a lot of these, some of the songs, the big songs, it's like, oh, I get why that's still kind of fun today. But for the most part, I think aged pretty badly. It's rock and roll. It's average rock and roll.
I do think about that as well. Like, some music I think is timeless, but maybe everything is this.
So everything's got a little expiration date on there, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah. So
even vocally though, he had his own style, and he influenced fucking everybody. He's one of the Beatles' biggest influence. Yeah. It's like, without him, we wouldn't have most of like the great music in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give it up. But and vocally, like, he has this average regular white dude voice, but he pretty much invented the hiccup thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded more like Goofy, but
I was gonna say it's
basically Goofy.
Yeah.
He's hooking everywhere, but it caught on, and it's kind of fun. It's like I think that same author, he's like, it didn't sound good, but it was different. But I think it sounds kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like the hiccups.
Yeah, there are moments where it's like, oh, this is actually kind of very interesting, but because it's pop music, it's kind of over before you can like digest it properly.
Every album is like 25 minutes long.
Man, I wish I could go back in time to be a drummer in the 50s. Like, your bass drums is muted as shit. Your toms.
You can't hear anything, dude.
I'm assuming your toms are just filled with pillows. Like, you're just there for like visuals.
This production is dog shit. There's one album two of them are fine. One of them is really bad. And it's like, okay, he's the singer. Make sure you can hear him and only him.
Yep.
Barely hear the guitars and everything else.
Which is weird because sometimes the drums and the guitar are doing these interesting things. It's just so muted, which I just chalk up to the times.
It's 100% the times. And I believe back in those days, you record everything in one giant room.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was the early days of recording techniques.
I think I remember seeing like a quote from one of the Beatles where like when it went from like mono to stereo, like guitarists and singers were like a little upset.
Oh,
because then it was like, oh, we actually have to like focus on like people can hear the bass and drums in stereo.
Oh, yeah. And those first few years of stereo, you go back to those albums now, it's hilarious. I mean, I've complained about it countless times with some of our like old like Cream or whatever the other old bands that we cover, where it's like, oh yeah, let's just shove 4 out of 5 instruments in one ear and vocals in the other ear. That'll sound good, right? They literally did that. They did,
yeah. Also, that quote is just gonna like sit with me this whole going back to that quote, which again I agree with. How insane is it? Of all the white artists, Buddy Holly was the first one to play the Apollo.
Oh wow.
Like,
ooh, interesting.
Not Elvis. Like, Elvis would make some sense.
Yeah, he's got some swing to him. He's got that sex appeal, baby.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly, you want to beat him up.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah.
Except when you find out Gary Busey played him in a movie, and then you're like,
show me that movie. That's all I want to see.
I do want to see that movie. I wish it was streaming. I would have watched it if it was streaming somewhere.
Was it? I mean, yeah, it was pre-Crazy Busey, right?
It was like in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Wait. I mean, I'm sure he was a little crazy, but it was before Accident Crazy.
Sure.
Oh, man, that sounds interesting.
I know. It's so weird. I got like more excited about like, you know what? If this like Gary Busey playing Buddy Holly, if that's like what we got out of his career, I think that's a win.
We also got Predator 2, baby.
Predator 2?
Hell yeah. And him on Instagram.
Oh, well,
pretty good.
Sorry, I didn't mean this.
Oh, you're talking about Buddy Holly. I'm talking about Gary Busey.
Yeah. No. Gary Busey's a whole.
Can we just do the episode on Gary Busey, please?
Yeah, let's just skip ahead to the Weezer episode. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's let's not talk about the Weezer song Buddy Holly, but I do like it. I think more than every song on all these albums.
It's a great song.
It's a great song. Anyway, we have some notes here from our boy Tom Osman, who I already told you to go check out, and I'm telling you again to go check out. One is an article from NME from 1975. It's called Buddy Holly, the Rocker Next Door. It's a profile by Mick Farron. And then what happened to the Crickets after Buddy Holly's death from liveabout.com from 2019. And boy, that's a funny answer. What happened to the Crickets after? First of all, the Crickets are Buddy Holly's backing
They
band.
kept doing albums for some
They
reason.
kept making albums, dude, for years. At a certain point, it's like it's not even the name of Buddy Holly anymore because
Hang
he
it
was
up.
on one album.
Change your name, do something. Yeah.
But we're covering 3 albums. Technically, there are only 2 albums under Buddy Holly's name, but the first one is The Crickets, the first album by The Crickets, which is basically a Buddy Holly album. The only reason why it's not is because of rights issues and like label.
Yes.
Rights.
Which I don't know if you read about. But
Little bit.
It sounds so like convoluted. Like, what was it? Yeah. So the Crickets were with Decca Records.
Yeah.
And then he didn't like the lack of creative control he had. So he went and recorded some things with Burnswick Records.
Yeah.
Only to find out
Burnswick had the rights to his name.
they're a subsidiary.
Yeah, exactly. Of Decca. So they'd already cleared all the rights to his name. So he had to put out that first album with the Crickets.
Yeah.
Or as the Crickets.
Yeah.
So that's why we're covering it here. It's just, I mean,
it's a short.
it's also short, but it was also in the days of where musicians really got railed in the ass by these companies.
Oh.
It was the full on mafia days of the record labels.
When we get there, the plane accident, and I was reading how the plane what led to it. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yep. It's pretty wild. And that anybody who knows of Buddy Holly knows that he died infamously with Richie Valens and the Big Bopper, who I've never heard a single song of. And
I just know his name. It's a fun thing to say.
It's a great name. I'll give him that.
Who doesn't like a fat guy doing music?
Not one person in the world, especially if he's wearing a leopard print jacket.
Yeah.
Which he did, I think.
Also, if we ever get bored, Richie
Valens.
only has a handful of albums as well.
And it would give me an excuse to watch La Bamba again. Come on. It's a classic. Come on.
Do a double feature of Gary Busey, Buddy Holly, and La Bamba.
Ooh, good idea.
Yeah.
Hell yes. So we're covering all 3 albums. First one, I mean, this is, talk about a brief fucking discography. This first album came out in 1957, last one at 1958.
And they're all under 30 minutes.
And this guy is why we have the Beatles. Get ready, folks. Shit, man. So before we go into the albums, let's talk a little bit about the little boy's history here.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he's from Texas. He's from Lubbock, Texas, which is close to the New Mexico border. Seems like a small town. His real name, Charles Hardin Holly, and Holly with an E, no less.
If I was a wrestler, with that name, I would be Hardin Holly.
Hardin Holly? Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. It's the ancestor of Hardcore Holly.
Yes.
And
he was born and raised during the Great Depression. So I'm sure that was fun.
Super fun. Yeah, he had like a bunch of siblings and they all played something. I believe they all played some kind of instrument.
Everybody except for Pa Holly.
Pa Holly. And
older brothers served in WW2. I believe they were drafted. Thank God.
That was a draft for sure. Oh, it's both, I think, because and there was a lot of enlisting in those days. Mm-hmm. But he started out like more doing a lot of country western stuff. I think he started a group with his buddy Bob Montgomery from high school, and
that sounds like a name my grandma will just come up to me during dinner and be like, Bob Montgomery.
Bob Montgomery, yeah.
He died today. And I'm like, Grandma, you've literally never talked about this man until right now.
Who the hell is Bob McGillicuddy?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So this quote from this article, he says, despite all this, there was a group of younger musicians determined to break out of the restrictions created by this early 50s Nashville mafia. It's all the country western kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. While Holly churned out country standards for the good people of Lubbock, they were already flirting with black R&B, a flirtation that would eventually create the fusion that would be rock and roll. And boy, did it make rock and roll. It goes on to say, even in the comparative isolation of Lubbock, that's a funny word. Lubbock. Am I saying it right? Lubbock.
No, I think the second time you went to like French.
Lubbock. Buddy Holly was becoming fascinated by the more lively music of people like Hank Billard and John Lee Hooker. When Elvis Presley played Lubbock, Holly went backstage to meet the new singing sensation from Memphis, and it was soon after his meeting that Holly resolved to go after the big time as a rock and roll star.
It is kind of funny, these like hotbeds for racism, that like musicians are drawn to these.
Well, there's a few things. One, the music ruled. Two, not everyone was racist. Three, it was a lot easier to get ahead when you stole their music. And you just
obviously not. That's why I said hotbed. You know, not every.
Yeah, and it's like, here's the thing when I hear like the accusations of Elvis stealing all that music. It's like, have you heard every single rock and roll artist ever? They all stole each other's songs. They're all the same song. It's all the same song.
And we do it here.
And yes.
Like, it's crazy. You will click on a song and it'll be like originally done and then covered in like the span of like 5 years, covered by like 20 different artists.
Worse than that, there are songs on these records that are rewrites of the same song from the same album. That is how much they copy each other. They copy themselves on the same album. It was a simpler time.
What a wacky, weird.
God, I hate rock and roll, dude. I love everything that came from it, but I don't like listen to it now. Shit. But we might as well get into these albums. They're not very long, so we just jump right into it. This is, here it is, baby, 1957, The Chirping Crickets.
All of my love, all of my kisses, you don't know what you've been missing, oh boy. When
These fucking squares.
Oh boy. The world can see that.
Fucking Mickey Mouse ass vocals.
All of my life I've been waiting tonight.
I will admit that I loved this song as a kid, and I still kind of like it.
When you're with me, oh boy.
I could not, we're not exactly 100 years into the future. Maybe like 60, 70. I cannot tell you, like, if you had to be like, guess which songs were hits and which weren't. I have no idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. This one makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's genuinely hooky, and it's not like a blatant, we're just doing the same old rock and roll bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It has a good hook to it. And I'm going to give this best personal favorite. And if we're giving picks, it's a short discography, but yeah, this one I think is easily the best for several reasons. The main one being that there are 5 songs in a row that I don't hate. And that I can't say about any other album.
Okay.
And it's the first 5 songs. I think the first 5 songs are all pretty cool. And there's a lot of there's the hits in there. Maybe Baby's another big one. Very nice. And then there's also this first version of That'll Be the Day, which we'll get later, but I think this version is vastly superior.
Is it weird? I know there's other lyrics in that song, but like it just, that'll be the day when I die. I'm just like, that's the lyric that this like kept.
Isn't that American Pie?
This will be the day that I die. Oh, that's why he says it. That's why he says it.
Yeah. And they also, they coined the term of the day of his death as the day the music died. That song coined it. But for this one, it is 26 minutes, sorry. 26 minutes of just straightforward, fun-loving, rock and roll, rockabilly. And it's nice. It's, I would say, because the only time I could ever see this being appropriate is if you're trying to have this old-timey diner feel. You're having a little party, and it's like, oh, it's like old boomer party. I don't know what else to say.
This is for historical purposes only, and if for some reason in the year 2023 you're throwing like a 1950s party,
it seems like, oh, it's inoffensive, it's fun, it's like I could only accept this background music, and as that, it's kind of nice. Like I don't mind any. I do mind a lot of songs, but I think overall it's fine.
Mm-hmm. I guess Not Fade Away has its charms.
Yeah.
That's a good example of some interesting rhythm going on there with the drums, but it's not not recorded well.
No. But I would call that song, if I'm going to use the word heavy for
the time,
I'd say it's heavy for the time. And production, I think, is easily the best produced out of all of them. It sounds the most like a band, and the most balanced. It feels the most mono. Where with these old albums, the mono versions were always better because it was
was the intent.
There was practice behind mono, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas all the stereo stuff was always super wonky. But this one feels like it's shitty and it's old, but it still feels like you hear a band, you can recognize, it's a full band. Whereas later albums, it's like a guitar and vocals and just weird muffles in the background. It's just fucking weird. So I think it sounds the best. Maybe Baby's nice. I think so there's so many just the same rock and roll progressions all over the place, with what's the fucking word, the modulation, where we're going to play this riff and then we're going to do it in a different key and then we're going to go back and it's just all the fucking same shit. So there's a lot of that. What ends up giving these songs personality is always just the vocal hook. Whatever if his vocal hook isn't memorable or interesting, the song is just boring ass rock and roll to me.
Isn't it funny having a band and they're like, we are just going to hang our hats on this one thing. We have guitars and bass and sometimes piano, but we're just going to live and die by whether the vocals are good or interesting.
Because this music didn't really exist yet. It was like, this is the structure. We'll just do the same shit all the time.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me now to put my brain in the musical mindset of someone in the fucking 50s, because I've heard so much shit that's just so out there. We're so creative, so many things that have just never been done that have now been done. Whereas this was like, no one thought to just, maybe we don't go exactly back to that key like we do with every song. They just didn't do it yet. They didn't find it. It's just so bizarre listening to it now, especially when so many songs just feel the same. I mean, the whole album is this.
I think it's crazy to me because it's not like there wasn't interesting. Like, I think jazz has always kind of been interesting, and then even blues artists have some like grit on them. But yeah, this is like, for white America, this is like very clean cut, and
I would actually throw blues in there as well, because they also use the same exact structures, and they're like, we're just gonna follow the same structures and patterns, and rock and roll basically stole that pattern.
Yeah,
and that's what, it's hard to listen to now.
Yeah, I guess with blues, sometimes it's just a man and his guitar about how he sold his soul to the devil, and that's way more.
Lyrics were better, definitely, with blues.
Yeah, or maybe they're singing about cocaine and calling it white lightning or something.
White lightning.
Or that's probably moonshine, but either way.
Maybe. I don't know enough about my old timey terms, but so that gives his best and personal favorite, and yet there's still so many songs I do not like, such as Tell Me How, Boy, could be worse, but I mean, that's exactly what I mean about just run of the mills rock and roll, no memorable hooks, and that's what it turns into.
The thing that stuck out to me on that song was how high pitched the backing vocals are, which I guess when you're barely men, you can do that.
The backup vocals on this album, the Crickets backup vocals, because they're the backing band on the next album, I think, and it's always their backup vocals. They sound, we heard a little bit on Oh Boy, but they just creep me the hell out. They sound so weird. It's almost like they weren't really mic'd up properly, and they almost sound inhuman. It's poppy and pretty, and the things they're singing are super upbeat and happy, but it's just like unsettling in like Tiptoes of the Tulips kind of way.
Also, how funny is it like doing backup vocals during this time and being like, what do you want me to sing? Like some lyrics? No, just like a do 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 do.
There's a lot of dudes. Yeah, it was the days of doo-wop, dude.
Yep. And there's plenty of that. So
yeah, it sounds almost like they recorded the backup vocals while all the band was being recorded, like all at the same time. That's how weird and unbalanced it sounds. But it has this weird haunting quality to it that feels completely unintentional, but I like it nonetheless.
You could play it in that weird X-Files episode about inbreeding. I think it's called Home.
Oh,
I forget what song they play in that.
Dude, I forgot about that episode.
Oh,
I only remember because the name of the episode.
Yeah,
it's been so long. I don't remember.
I think it's considered like one of the greatest.
That was a good show.
But yeah, you play some Buddy Holly during that episode, and it's right at home.
I'm Looking for Someone to Love is another one that I just nope. It's just this nope. Send Me Some Lovin'. It's a ballad. There's quite a few ballads. And I mean, these are ballads, full on love songs that are just sometimes they're good for pacing, sometimes not.
I don't know about anybody else, but when I hear old timey ballads, I always add like girls screaming in my head. I'm like, yeah, that's probably kids were weird, right? They just scream during.
They do it now.
Yeah.
For artists that I don't know or listen to,
probably like BTS, but.
Oh yeah, I was thinking like BTO, Take Care of Business.
Take Care of Business, yeah.
What you call it? So some of them, I don't mind an empty cup. As far as ballads go, those backup vocals are like the most 1950s thing ever. They don't quite sound as creepy as the other songs.
I thought that was interesting because it's like the closest to country, but but his vocals aren't.
No, he's doing his own thing. Yeah, he's doing a lot of the hiccupy stuff, which I like.
I think the song that entertained me the most was Rock Me, My Baby, because that's this almost like full gibberish.
Oh, is it? I mean, I did like it.
Yeah.
And there's actually a decent solo guitar solo there too.
Yes, I know what
you're talking about.
For the time, it rips. That's a ripper.
It's good. It's got good personality. It's got great energy. It's a good closer. Especially for what it is and what this album is. I think it's pretty consistent. And I say that as someone who hates like a lot of these songs, or not hate, but just like, just doesn't scratch any itch. The songs that land are genuinely distinct and hooky. And I get why they were like hits back in the day.
Yeah. When your world is only so small.
Yes. I think it's the best pace of all his albums. Plenty of it still falls down the generic rock and roll pit, but a lot of it stands out. Some memorable stuff here. I don't love it. I'm not gonna come back to it, but I get a lot of this one. My best and personal favorite. Man, it's time to move on. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Hell yes. This is 1958's Buddy Holly. The production sounds like shit.
It's
pretty bad.
Even for the time.
Yeah, even for the time.
You're gonna say you've missed me.
Oh,
You're gonna say you'll kiss me. So you're gonna say you'll love me. Cause I'm gonna love you too.
I love it. I'm gonna love you.
I'm gonna. Yeah, he does that on a few other songs.
Oh yeah. So you're gonna say
he also says some like things like serial killers say like, you're gonna give me your love.
Hey, if you say it with a nice little hiccup, it's kind of cute.
It's cute.
Yeah. So, do you get rid of his vocals? This song is like old timey country western Chet Atkins, like Les Paul type stuff. Mm-hmm. It's actually very like southern. Well, you get the idea. That's the whole song.
I'm just gonna give this best personal favorite. I don't really have a dog in this fight.
And then worst, least favorite. Like,
oh, really?
I know this is like legendary.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I just don't enjoy this one at all. I like that song. I like a couple songs on here.
Yeah, getting a little. I'll go into. I kind of just want to skip to the next album, but we have to go. Yeah.
So this one has some of his biggest songs. It's got big, so big. I just think of the King of the Hill version. I can't get the King of the Hill version out of my head.
It's so funny how like early hip hop, I'm totally fine with these like simple rhyming schemes.
Yeah.
But there's this something about these, oh, maybe, baby, like it just.
Where do you think those rappers got it from, dude?
When music is in its infancy, you're gonna have garbage lyrics. I don't know. I feel like with early rap, there's an attempt to make it a little more complicated. Where this is like you just run maybe and baby.
Yeah. At least they're two different words. At least it's not baby and baby. Which,
baby.
so Peggy Sue, it's, man, I only like it because of King of the Hill.
If the drums were like recorded properly, that like rolling tom surf beat is really fucking cool.
It's actually interesting. Boy, is it recorded like shit. But it's a cute song. And the other big ass giant fucking hit, Every Day, which is so corny. It's almost horror movie music.
I didn't even realize that was Buddy Holly. I'm like, you just hear that in like some like artsy fartsy director movie, and you just like, yeah,
it's cute. It's a cute song.
Like, is that in Garden State or something? It's the Shins.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure the Shins sound nothing like, but yeah.
It's a cute thing. I can't believe that's one of his most famous songs. It's very hokey. It's very weak sounding. It's even recorded pretty badly.
I will say it is wild to be doing like, we're gonna make rock and roll music, and someone was like, know what you boys need? A Celestia.
Oh shit.
That kind of is like a wild choice for the time.
Yeah, that is. I suppose it is.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out about
very
that
nice
song.
Other thing about that, which fucking song is it? It's Words of Love, which is literally 2 songs away from Every Day. It's just a higher energy, different key rewrite of Every Day. It's just so lazy. I mean, holy shit.
They said, we'll do the Celestia version, but just for backup, we're going to do the rock.
We're going to do the fun rock and roll version, all right? I do like his vocals on his album enough. The hiccup stuff, I especially like it on like was it Mailman, Bring Me No Blues. I like his hiccups on there. That sound fun. Bring Me No More Blues.
Yeah, that's a fine song.
It's fine. I'm not too bothered by Look at Me or Valley of Tears. Is Valley of Tears another famous one? It might be. Rave On is another famous one.
They're probably all. I did notice when I was listening to it, I was like, Valley of Tears seems a little more intricate than like the other things. And then I was like, oh, because it's a Fats Domino song.
Oh, is that right?
I'm like, yeah,
okay.
You corny ass white boys didn't write the lyrics for this one. That's why.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, it's back in ballad territory. It's got some country twang, a lot of organs in there. But I did like the overall vibe they give the song.
I do like whenever they record more up tempo thing. It's always like the silliest lyrics, like Ready Teddy.
Oh yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Slow down. You're playing like some kind of punk.
Oh, I hate it. I hate Ready Teddy. Can't stand it. You're So Square. Man. That sounds like they're using padded chairs for drums.
It's insane. To the point where it's distracting.
You gotta put it on. It's so distracting.
Because I wrote a similar thing. Like, did they just take the toms and just put towels and pillows in them?
They place it on the floor.
Yeah. You're So Square it.
Yeah. What? It's
black metal purists are like taking notes on how to record it.
We just had an album that didn't quite sound this bad.
And again, that is like a fun little rhythm to play on the toms.
Yeah,
but it's just
it's probably it's one of the worst drum sounds I've ever heard in recording. Again, you can make the excuse of, oh, well, it's old. The first album didn't sound this bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make that excuse for everything. Person who I'm not talking to or something.
I will say there's probably a few other ones, but the original closer, because there's bonus tracks.
Yeah, Little Baby, the piano is a standout for me. And then I noticed there were some other ones. So like, I was like, man, this Norman Petty fellow probably had a great career. Not really. No?
Yeah, because I was like, I think he's like doing interesting things with what he's given.
He's a prominent writer on almost all these songs.
Yeah.
Or the good chunk of these songs anyway.
I guess, he didn't have to work if you get writing credits on these bad boys.
Yeah, for sure. Bonus tracks, you get a mix of stuff with you get like a couple Crickets tracks, or backed by the Crickets, like Think It Over and Fool's Paradise. That's My Desire is another ballad. I mean, it's fine. It's got some nice 50s type leads there.
That is one of those songs that was just like covered 20 times in the span of like 5 years.
Oh, okay. Think It Over. I kind of like that piano solo. It's like one of the few, if not the only, piano solo with using the low keys, which is an interesting choice. Those backup vocals on Fool's Paradise are a perfect example of the creepy, weird, strange Crickets backup vocals I'm talking about.
They're very noticeable.
They're really weird and unintentionally creepy. I like it because of that personality. It's fucking strange. Well, all right, full on country western.
That's my favorite bonus track.
Oh, really?
And then again, I was just like, Jesus Christ, was someone just like choking the ride cymbal when he's playing?
Oh, yeah.
It's like there's no ring.
Jesus Christ. The final song in the bonus track says Take Your Time. Yeah, I mean, by this point, so this album is originally 24 and a half minutes long.
Yeah.
It can't handle going into 30-minute territory.
I was going to say, it's very interesting. Like, it's still with the bonus tracks. It's not a long album, but
35 minutes.
You can feel like the ebb and flow of the original, and this like, oh, okay, these were tacked on.
Yeah. It actually feels like it drags on at 35 minutes. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, I get like this is pretty hugely influential, but out of all three of the albums, I dislike the most songs on here. It has the absolute worst production. And even the songs that are huge, like Peggy Soon Every Day, I'm not even big on those.
Mm-hmm.
So really I can, that's my rationale for worst, least favorite.
I just felt like this one had a little bit more variety than others.
Yeah. Cause the rest I think that's why I don't mind the one mode. If it's 20 minutes long and the one mode is inoffensive, maybe I don't love it, but it's not like, I don't know. It's fine. Clearly we're not huge fans of this guy. We are grateful for him. We're grateful for him. But my worst least favorite and Alex's best and personal favorite, but we got one more, the very last one. Was this one released posthumously? No, it was not.
No, it was same year.
Same year.
Yeah.
So this is the last album. I believe these were recorded before. I believe, this next album, it was recorded in 56. So it was actually predates the Crickets album. So these are actually the earliest songs or the earliest recordings that we have of him right now, at least on this episode. But it wasn't released until I say much later, but I mean a year later. So this is 1958. That'll Be the Day.
You are my one.
This girl screaming in the background.
I think it's my favorite Buddy Holly song.
This does rule. The way this album started off, I thought I was going to give it best personal.
Yeah. But I thought I was going to love it too.
It just kind of,
This song is genuinely beautifully written.
I want to hear
great progressions.
Nicolas Cage and or Glenn Danzig sing this.
There's no way Danzig hasn't already sung this. Although he's never cited Buddy Holly, to be fair.
Yeah, he's probably just too much on the Elvis,
Roy Orbison, who are both better, in my opinion. Much better.
I think, yeah.
Roy Orbison's the fucking goat.
I think Glenn would kill it.
Yeah, he absolutely would.
Also, I'm a defender of that awful Elvis.
It is so bad. Check out Danzig episode. I like his quiveriness here too.
Yeah, the goofy looks are more like wobbly and
Very
like
shaky. There's no
sounds like there's some heartbreak in there.
heartbreak for sure. There's actually no hiccup. There's almost no hiccup vocals on this whole album. This was before I guess he discovered the hiccup technique.
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna give this one worst least favorite. This because there's maybe like the first 3 tracks I think are some of his best, but then boy, after that I'm just
it's not. I don't hate a lot of it, but I mean, I do hate enough of it.
Yeah.
I was fine with it. I did prefer this one to the previous one if I had to choose between the two, but like the first 3 tracks, I like the first 3 tracks. And then you get Rock Around with Ollie V, which is just any old rock and roll song. And you could interchange it with literally any song.
I feel like even for the time that was like even for Buddy Holly, it's like you've done
quite a bit of this one, bud.
Yeah.
Tingling has a ton of Elvis in it, especially with the slapback reverb on the vocals.
I love that in the 50s people were just singing tinglings, dinglings.
Tingling is it's a really bad name of a song for sure.
At least dingling is hilarious.
Yeah, that was Chuck Berry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, damn right it was Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
Who else would it be?
Come on, baby.
Ooh, homeboys are debaucherous.
Also, I don't like the way Holly says boy on
boy. I'm just saying I can't kill.
Yeah, you this
Jesus Christ, I can't get the hell out of my head. We got Girl in My Mind, which is a pretty passionate ballad. It's not too bad for what it is. I actually kind of like it. But so this song, it happens on this song. It happens a lot in this album. I just happen to note it on this song. So much peaking. The production here is complete dog shit. There's peaking on basically every song. The peaking on the vocals there is really, really bad.
Too much yodeling and hiccuping.
It's pretty ear piercing. It's hard to crank this when it's very ear piercing. The title track, That'll Be the Day. I said I prefer the Crickets version. To say I prefer the Crickets version is such an understatement. This version is awful. It's so ear piercing, so much vocal peaking. It's so abrasive. It's just, it feels like it has way less personality. I don't like it at all here.
The goofiest song. I'm changing all those changes.
Oh, changing all those changes. Oh, boy.
On top of sounding funny, he just actually sounds the funniest on there.
If you've heard Rockabilly, you've heard that song. That's for sure. Yes. Same with like Love Me.
Yeah.
This is more rockabilly. Like when you think of rockabilly with a slap bass, with a slap upright bass, you hear a lot of that. That's actually the loudest percussion is the bass slapping.
Yeah.
It's louder than the drums.
I almost wonder what kind of music he would have done if he, led a normal, healthy life.
Well, look at Elvis. And he was the best of them.
End up in Vegas.
Probably was going to be a nice end either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, hearing these songs, again, he didn't write a lot of these songs. I don't hear Buddy Holly as like, oh, this visionary who was like, he died he did die young, but like he was changing everything and he was like a brilliant music maker. Like, I don't see that at all. He's just a kid who kind of had some spunk and it landed.
He was riding that wave.
Yeah, he was right at he was so early in his career and he had just popped.
Yeah.
And then he just died. Like, it was pretty insane. It's such a small window of time. It's pretty crazy. What else? Don't Come Back Knocking is another kind of bluesy, Elvis-y type thing. I don't know. It's fine. It'll scratch the itch if you're feeling nostalgic.
Yeah, it's just more like, yeah, even for you, it's like I've heard this song before, buddy. Yes. And
yep. Same with Midnight Shift, which I kind of don't mind. It's basically another rewrite of That'll Be the Day. It's all.
I kind of glanced over it, but I think one of my favorite Buddy Holly tracks is also Blue Days, Black Nights.
Oh,
But I see he didn't write that, and I don't see this guy in the band, so I'm assuming it's a cover. But
yeah.
it's just one of the more like the lyrics really paint this full picture that the way a simpler song does not.
Oh, yeah, I don't mind that one. It kind of fits the vibe of the whole thing. That's the only way I can enjoy this is like, all right, I'm on a long drive. Let's throw in some fucking old timey rock and roll rockabilly. Give me a little mood setting here, and it works for that.
Yeah,
and then the sax on Modern Don Juan.
Oh, it's
pretty neat.
It is. It gives it this dated, cheesy quality to it.
Yep.
But you know what? It's a big fish in a small pond.
It's got personality.
It does.
I don't mind it. And I kind of like some of Buddy's vocal lines there too. It's not too bad. Yeah, this is it's fine. I think this probably considered the weakest of all his albums. I don't mind it so much, but you know, who am I to fucking
Again, I'm going despite judging all these. It's really it's not fair to do this to this like 22-year-old.
I think it's more than fair to do it to a 22-year-old. Maybe not this 22-year-old. Maybe not this year of 1957.
Yeah, like it'd be different if he was like able to grow and like make some other like.
Maybe the only reason why I don't feel so bad is because this, I mean, it's revered and it's praised as one of the most incredible, influential things in the world.
I don't think that's fair either to do to. Yeah, it's just like it's a gift and a curse.
There's plenty of naysayers to this day, and you got a couple in this room right here.
Yeah,
I don't say nay. All right, I say may because I get it.
Yeah,
but I don't love it. I'm not gonna listen to myself, but I get it. Damn it. And then he died, and it was crazy.
Yes. So, I don't know. I wrote some notes down. So
we got the thing here from Tom's notes, the little profile on on his death and what happened to the Crickets afterward. It says on February 3rd, 1959, a private charter plane carrying musicians Buddy Holly, J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valenzuela crashed near Clear Lake, Iowa. The flight was a decision by Holly to transport his touring band members, including Alsop and Jennings, to their next stop on the Winter Dance Party Tour in Fargo, North Dakota, to avoid harsh conditions of traveling via poorly insulated tour buses.
Yes, sir. Also, regarding that, because I don't see it here, these tour buses had broken down twice, and the drummer, Carl Bunch, is that his name, or did I write it? It might be. He had to be hospitalized.
Oh.
Because he had frostbite in his toes from riding this bus. Not being outside, from being on this fucking bus.
Things were tough back. This was a fucking massive star, and the people are getting frostbite in
on these unheated tour. But also, there was no regard for these tour dates. It was just like, oh, these musicians are fucking animals. We'll just book
every day.
We'll book whatever.
Yeah,
we don't care what the logistics are.
It kind of was the worst job in the world.
Yeah,
at least like. Because we can complain about travel these days, but boy, at least we got some insulation and blankets or something.
Some safety regulations.
God, damn, yeah, a couple of lawsuits in the past.
Yeah.
It goes on to say, however, because Richardson had the flu, Jennings traded his seat and Alsop lost his seat to Valens in a coin toss.
Yes.
I remember that from the movie. The plane crashed 6 miles from the Iowa airport of departure, leaving no survivors. The day became known as the day the music died after it was referenced in Don McLean's American Pie in 1971. Now, this is the funny part.
Yeah.
The Crickets, the band, soldiered on for decades after Buddy's untimely death. Together, the band released 3 albums before and 18 after Buddy Holly's death in 1959, circulating in and out more than 20 band members over the course of their 40-year career.
That's fucking insane.
It's insane.
But 2 other interesting things I read about the plane crash. According to one of Buddy Holly's brothers, they got like the report. and he said the instruments on the plane were like, you should not take off. The pilot didn't like get like verbal from like a radio, but like the instruments are on the plane were like, these are not good conditions to take off. Still
shocker.
And then I guess I kind of find it interesting, this like rumor and innuendo. There was Buddy had like a gun on him, and they didn't initially report it. And then when they did, there was this like vicious rumors that someone had like shot the pilot.
Yeah, I doubt it when they were flying through a snowstorm.
Oh no, it was strictly rumors.
Yeah,
I'm just
it does make the story more romantic that way.
Yeah, people were like very like heartbroken by this. Also, news started making it a policy not to report on famous people's deaths until the family was notified, because his wife at the time heard, like, she found out on the radio.
Oh my God.
And had like a miscarriage.
Oh my God.
I believe his mom found out that way too. Like they found out just like minding their own business, and then this on the radio. Like
this was the fucking Wild West of entertainment laws.
It was, yeah.
Fucking the most brutal conditions, the most horrific way of handling it's just so illegal now. You just can't do any of this shit now.
To be fair, at least they were like, that was wrong. We're gonna change.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. My God. And yeah, 22 years old is woof, dude.
Dude, yeah. I've already been like questioning my own mortality lately, and
yeah, me too. Plenty.
Yeah, it's R.I.P. to wrestler Bray Wyatt. That's what caused it for me.
He's not old, and he's like
the same age I am, and it's just
fairly decent shape, being a wrestler and all. And it's not quite the days of you're again another industry where back in the day before regulations, let's just make you work every waking moment of your life. Here's a bunch of drugs to keep you going.
Have some steroids, pal.
Meth, coke, steroids, all the uppers. I mean, take it all, baby. Take it all. Just keep falling on your ass.
Percocets.
Oh, them perks.
Also, has no business in this podcast, but that American Gladiators docu-series is real interesting.
I know the highlights, and that they were as broke as I am, which is pretty fucked up.
Insane the way these gladiators are actually.
Technically, weren't gladiators mostly like prisoners?
Yeah. So
what's the difference?
In a way, it's kind of appropriate.
It's actually better. But we are at the end of our journey. Yeah, I mean, it was brutal, but he let us have all the British stuff. He got us the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and from there we have Oxbow. I mean, in some way or another, because of Buddy Holly, we have Oxbow.
In some weird, we have Oxbow and Swans.
We got Swans, Oxbow, Baroness. We got all the things that we like because of Buddy Holly, and it's not even like a stretch to say that.
No, it's not really, but man. Yeah, strictly for historical purposes for me.
And me as well. Let's do a little recap.
Best personal favorite, Buddy Holly. There's hits.
Yeah.
Where's least favorite? That'll be the day. It sounds bad, and nothing is as interesting as the first three songs, so...
For me, Chirping Crickets, best personal favorite. It's real consistent. It has my favorite of all his songs, the most interesting style of rock and roll songs, I think, in his whole career. And worst least favorite, Buddy Holly. It sounds like ass, and I don't like the songs. What else can I say? I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry. Whatever. But thank you so much for listening and watching and hanging out. This has been a delight, a true delight to talk about this really out of the usual for us.
I need a palate cleanser here and there.
Yeah, something not quite as brutal and heavy and fun for us,
or even obscure. Sometimes it's just
we've really leaned into the obscure. Even like
that's kind of our bread and butter now.
It really is. Even with a band like No Means No, which is like the superstars for us.
Also, I called my shot on, like, we're getting views on that.
Damn right.
Yeah.
It's a beloved band. It's a good ass band. Check out that episode if you're some reason found Buddy Holly before No Means No on our channel. But go support us. Go to all the places. Follow me on all social media at Pander Monkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
Please follow our history guy Tom Osman at Tom Osman Sounds on all social media, as well as TomOsmanSounds.com, where you can find all his music stuff. He does a bunch of work for us, and it's been making the pod very juicy lately. You can please, if you would like, join the patreon.com/every album ever. That's where we got some bonus episodes. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we cover next. You get to join our Discord, be a part of our little community, and suggest our EAE singles episodes. We pull all the suggestions out from Discord directly. And if you want us to cover a full ass discography, tier 2, baby, tier 2, that's where you do it. So thank you, please, thank you, do that. You can check out my EP as well. Link in the description. It's cool. Go ahead, do that. Am I forgetting anything?
Sounds about right. I think this is short and sweet. Oh, golly, I'm going to ask my best gal to the prom.
Oh, to the... I fucking spaz right now. Fuck it. What are we wrapping it with?
Want to do modern Don Juan?
Why not? I don't fucking care. Let's do that. So thank you so much for listening and watching. See ya.